From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 279 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. We're recording today, April 11th, 2026. I'm Warren Carr here in the state of Washington, and I'm joined by my beautiful, handsome, and whatever friends I got from Constantinople.
Yeah, this is Sally from Samson, Turkey. Yeah, far away from there.
I call him Constantinople. And we got from ancient Lebanon, Ms.
Karin Kiwan.
And of course, we are being joined by our special guest today, Dave Faliskie. We'll be talking with Dave Faliskie later on in the spotlight. But coming up in this episode, we've got the following lineup. We've got announcements followed by Android Basics. And in our spotlight, we talk with Dave Faliskie about Rhodes Audio. And we conclude today's episode with a TTS engine simply called BookFusion Natural Voice. Karin, girl, what's going on with you? I know Lebanon's a little bit on fire, but we hope you're doing okay. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, thanks God. I'm still in a safe area for now. Waiting to see what will happen in the next week. We are hoping that there's the possibility, for example, let's say there is a possibility for a ceasefire. No one knows actually how things are going to be, but just praying that things become better. And I hope that also listeners pray for us and for all the countries that are facing wars and hard times. What about you?
Exactly. Well, I'm doing okay, and it's a beautiful day here, cloudy day. We'll probably get up to about 62 degrees or thereabouts. So I've been working out hard in the yard and digging up dandelions and all that stupid yellow stuff. My wife thinks they're cute. They're not. But other than that, I'm doing okay. Sally boy, what's going on with you?
I'm doing well, especially those 2 days. It's been really raining hard. Right now it's like 9 degrees, or to be like said, it's 48 degrees F. Well, it's cold, so I couldn't do anything at all. I was going to go out today, but I didn't do that. So I'm staying home today, just chilling. And the work's been so busy, just I'm relaxing before that. Yeah, the new week comes. And welcome, guys, for another new episode. I hope you enjoy it.
And now, the announcement segment. This is a segment dedicated to things we want you to be in the know. And now for this week's episode, here's your announcements. We now move on to the announcements segment, and we're talking about our second quarter Open Listener Session and Developer Session, and that comes up on April the 25th, last Saturday of this month. And of course, as always, guys, we're asking you to come on and just be open, talk about whatever you want to talk about, and most especially about things that matter, and hoping that we have developers in here as well, those that you can ask them questions about their apps and all of that. That's what we've got coming up. And always, of course, Sally is my man, time zoner. Sally, take it away.
Especially, yeah, you're really invited, guys, for this one. We want to have a lot of people coming from different parts of the world. So just going to remind you the times. It's going to be 9:30 in India. It's going to be 4 in Central, like US UTC time zone. It's going to be 6 p.m. in Europe. It's going to be 5 in UK, London. It's going to be 7 in Eastern Europe, Russia. It's going to be 6 p.m. in Egypt and South Africa. And what else? Yeah. It's going to be midnight in China.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be 2 a.m. in Sydney, Australia, just in case you're listening to us in Australia. If you plan on joining, just join us at 2 a.m. And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics. We now move on to the Android Basics. And for this week, though, we're talking about the April security patch for Pixel phones. And here's what we got for the fixes. Here are the changes that came with the April security patch for 2026 that was dropped on Wednesday, April the 7th. These are divided into categories as follows. 1. Apps. Fix for an issue where the backup menu was missing from within the system settings in certain conditions. Fix for an issue that causes certain banking and third-party apps to crash in certain conditions. 2. Display and graphics. Fix for some games that would crash in certain conditions. 3. User interface. Fix for an issue where the quick search bar is sometimes missing from the home screen in certain conditions. And 4. Wi-Fi. Fix for a quick share that would crash during file transfers in certain conditions. And those are the issues or fixes that we have. I know that some of you have had some problems, especially with the March feature drop that causes some of the devices to loop and all of that. I hope that some of these issues that are not mentioned here are those that fix your device, for we're not getting another feature drop until June. But these are the changes or the fixes that we have with these April security patch for Pixel 6 through 10. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. We now move on to the Spotlight segment, and we're talking with Dave Faliskie of Rhodes Audio. Dave, welcome to Blind Android Users Podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
First, Dave, tell us where you're coming from and how is it out there where you're coming from?
Yeah, currently I'm in Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C., and it's actually beautiful this weekend here. Really nice spring weather, finally.
You got the cherry blossoms out there, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. This seems like the week that they're all starting to bloom.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'd never been to Virginia necessarily. I mean, I touched down in DC, but we drove on 95 from Syracuse, New York to Disney World in Florida years ago. But so we touched places like West Virginia and all of that. And I got to see that place in Pennsylvania, the Gettysburg area. I'm a historian, so we had to stop there. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
I've actually never been there to Gettysburg, but I hear only good things about it.
You know, the funniest thing is this, the closest we are to some of these things, we never get to go to those places. Can you believe that all the time that I was in Colorado, I'd never been to Pikes Peak until after I moved to the state of Washington. Then in 2014, we went to Pikes Peak. Meanwhile, I was in Colorado for 9 years. So go figure. Now, Dave, let's talk about Rhodes Audio, and that's what we're talking to you about today because it's an app that is very simplistic and very accessible. But being the historian and all of that, though, I always like to start with the history of an app. And so if you wouldn't mind, take us down that memory lane of Rhodes Audio, what led you to developing Rhodes Audio, and then talk about some of the challenges that were presented during this development of Rhodes Audio. So give us a little bit of a description of it. I know I'm going to be demonstrating it as an app of the week, but since you are here, talk about the history and talk about what Rhodes Audio is.
Yes. So I guess starting with what the history is, Originally, actually, it started with podcasting. So me and a few friends who are actually spread out across multiple time zones, so similar to you guys on this podcast, we wanted to kind of start a podcast, but the way we began it was just recording kind of monologues and uploading them to a Google Drive. And the idea was we'll just kind of start with that, kind of get used to it, get comfortable with it, and then eventually do something more public and kind of find a time to sync up and actually record. But ultimately, that ended up never happening. And we kind of realized we didn't want a full public podcast, but we did like the kind of that medium or like excuse to kind of have a 10-minute monologue and just kind of catch up and keep in touch, but not feel the pressure of like direct messaging or getting on a phone call or having that mainly having that that need to schedule a time to all sync up. So that was kind of the problem that the app was trying or was developed to solve. And what was built is essentially an audio recording or messaging app that lets you create a private channel. And then, so it is invite only. It's not public like a podcast, but within your private channel, you can invite your friends or the people that you want to listen to the messages you're recording. And then you can just upload as much as you want, whenever you want. And then people can listen when they have time. And then I guess maybe one of the more unique things about Rhodes is as you're listening, you can leave an audio comment at any timestamp. So if maybe there's like a 10-minute conversation you're listening to, and at the 3-minute mark, someone says something that you want to interject on, you can record a comment at that point and pretty much, and create a road, as it's called. So that's kind of where the name of the app comes from, is that the conversations become these branching roads as they're built out over time. And that feature was kind of added because with the Google Drive setup, we constantly were repeating context. So it'd be, when you want to respond to someone, it'd be like, oh yeah, what so-and-so said about this thing at the beginning of their message, and then go in with your response. That ended up becoming a lot of what the conversations were because they were back and forth, but monologue based. So that's why the timestamps were added in. And then I guess in terms of like the blind and visually impaired community, that was not ever actually intentionally designed into the app, but some blind users found the app and started using it. So then it has been updated to work much better with voiceover and have kind of the voiceover and I guess talkback on Android support. So it's definitely found a place with that community.
Really interesting when one hears the history of an app and how it came about. And I've always been excited and wanting to know how these things come about. And especially, the names or the title given to an app, for example. It's so hard to find titles for apps and all of that. And I'm always baffled with how people come about getting all these titles for apps and all of that. And so when I saw Rhodes Audio, and all I could think of is, On the Road Again, that song by Willie Nelson. And I'm back on the road again, and here I am on Rhodes and all of that. But it's a beautiful title, Rhodes Audio. And every time I bring it up, I'm just thinking, someone on the road. My wife is visiting in Ohio, and I'm like, Julia, you want to be on Roads? Just send me a message on there. So my wife and I have been kind of using it a little bit, and so it's just an interesting thing. Now, let's talk about the development. Was it difficult developing for Android? Because a lot of times, though, Dave, what we hear from developers is that developing for Android is like trying to grind an axe. It's so hard, and it's just like, asking heaven to come on down on earth and all of that, and making it sound like Android is this monster, 10-headed monster that is so hard to control. Talk to us about that difficulty or some of those challenges that were presented while you were trying to develop Rhodes Audio.
So I guess Rhodes is built with Flutter. So Flutter is a cross-platform framework. So the Android aspect of it, I guess, is not really any more difficult than a couple like extra configurations kind of up front almost. So since it is Flutter based, I guess there's not like Android specific issues that I ran into. Although, yeah, I guess when setting it up there, I'm not Android native. I come from more the iOS Swift background prior to going to Flutter. So there was definitely a little bit of a learning curve there, but I think using like a cross-platform framework like Flutter or React Native is another popular one. Definitely helps make that simpler with development. But I guess that being said, I think probably some of the maybe issues with Android versus iOS for me is just the fact that I'm not a daily user of an Android device. So there have been issues and possibly still are issues with the app that are just due to that kind of slight difference in usage. And even the app is maybe more, it is a custom design, so the UI and everything is pretty custom, but it also does lean a little bit heavier to the iOS style than maybe the Android typical style. So those issues definitely kind of come up from time to time.
Yeah, and what I noticed, however, is that you got the buttons labeled correctly and all of that, because what we oftentimes have problems with is the labeling or the contextual labeling of those buttons. Especially sometimes you have some developers that will put like the label below the actual button and all of that, and it kind of makes it feel like there are two things, making it so confusing to blind users. But noticing yours, I noticed that the contextual labeling is correctly labeled right on the button itself. So it's not like either below or to the side of the button, which leads to confusion. So kudos to you for doing that, even though Android is not your background. So really, I'm very excited to see that someone like you, even though Android is not your forte or whatever that you do the most, you are able to do this correctly, and probably using that Flutter. Do you think that has something to do with it? Did it help you, or did you have to do a lot of research on how to do something on Android?
Yeah, I think definitely I would have to give Flutter a lot of the credit for that. It has a very good semantics is what they call it, is like how you label everything for the voiceover. And it has a very good like built-in semantics engine that you can label everything with. And it does I would say, yeah, it does a lot of the heavy lifting. And if you do just go in and label everything you have using kind of the framework they have set up for it, it does work much better than kind of trying to do it yourself or trying to do it more customly. So and I mean, the nice thing about that is it is doing it for Android and iOS. So it's not like just building it for one. You kind of just build it and then it works for both, which is great. But that being said, definitely the app originally, you do have to be intentional about it as well, because initially when like the first blind users actually found the app, the voiceover was okay, but it wasn't intentionally added. So some of it was working out of the box, but it definitely was more along the lines of what you were saying, where things weren't labeled correctly, or it would just say button, but it wouldn't describe what it was. So definitely just be like having like an intentional semantics update is not super difficult to do, but it definitely has to be thought of and done.
And that button is what drives us nuts. For example, when it's unlabeled, and I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of TalkBack users, and you come across this button and it says button unlabeled, and sometimes it only says button. It would not even say unlabeled. And so it's something that makes a lot of blind people upset. But and I think it all goes to prove the fact that a lot of sighted developers don't necessarily have the idea that blind people actually use the smartphone. And so sometimes when they see us using smartphones, they're kind of left aghast as to how does a blind person use a smartphone. I mean, in my church, for example, a lot of people still wonder how I'm able to use a phone. So I don't blame developers that are unaware of all of these things. But yeah, so it's always kind of like you're going to try to retro something to make it good back to what it ought to be. Then it kind of places a little bit of a work on a developer because you didn't start there from the get-go with that accessibility in mind, and which makes it difficult to go back and try to fix those things and another added work. And that's why sometimes a lot of them just choose not to label those things. And hence the reason why we constantly are crying, always start with accessibility in mind, because it saves you a lot of headache. And so I'm glad though that you are able to fix those buttons for us and making it something useful and accessible.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, like, for me, it was never something I thought of, like having like voiceover enabled or setting up an app like that. So until that was kind of brought to my attention, it was I never even considered it. It was just never something I thought of. So yeah, now I've definitely tried to update the app a lot for that use case. And then going forward now, having this kind of knowledge, it'll definitely make it easier, like with any new app I develop, to work that in. And then yeah, luckily Flutter does make it pretty easy. So hopefully more people start to realize that, I guess. But I guess it probably will just happen over time. And then hopefully even with like more of these AI tools in the development, with more like vibe coding style and AI driven development, maybe that will all happen easier, or make it easier to do that as well. So I would suspect more apps will become updated with that just over time, by default almost. I don't know what your experience is with that, but
yeah, I have no clue. But you know what I really think would be cool, really cool, would be that all these development tools like Flutter and all of them, I wish that they have something in there that as a developer is developing, it will keep reminding them, hey, don't forget to do accessibility. Or, maybe when you think you've done with this section or segment and ready to move to the next one, it will say, hey, you forgot accessibility, or something like that. And I think that would really, I know it could drive developers nuts, but I think that probably should be what could keep people in sync as to what they need to do, because we've seen this thing over and over again. And to be honest, it gets very frustrating to those of us who are blind, because not a lot of those developers always think of us. Like I said, no one goes to bed thinking about us. And so we're always an afterthought. And but if we have something there within that development tool that constantly remind people not to forget, I think it'll make it a whole lot better.
This is making us super anxious whenever we receive an update for an app, thinking, oh, I hope they didn't break the accessibility.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting, the accessibility, because it almost is like two versions of the app existing like simultaneously. So even with like what you were saying with breaking accessibility, it's like something could be added which does break accessibility, but it was added to fix something else, or it, like for the cited version of it. And it definitely does add another layer of complexity to the development process, which maybe is why a lot of developers don't focus on that, especially like indie developers, because you do have to, I guess, prioritize your time essentially.
But as a developer, how do you see the community support for this, working on your app? What do you see from community in terms of accessibility? Is it going to help you for the future of the app?
Yes, like the blind community definitely has been giving me a ton of feedback on it, and really without that, I wouldn't keep building on it. So yeah, the more feedback I get of things that are broken or better ways to do stuff around accessibility, I'm I'm open and definitely want to make it better and make it the best version, but I don't use, I guess me personally, like I don't use the app that way. So it's hard for me to, I mean, I test it, but I don't use it daily that way. So it's hard for me to see the parts that are not working seamlessly. So yeah, definitely the feedback is a huge piece of it that the community has been providing a lot of. And then the fixes are typically not that difficult. It's just knowing what to do is the more difficult part, I guess, if that makes sense.
Before I ask my questions, I'd like to thank you very much. Yeah, my set of questions. I'd like to thank you very much for the time and effort spent in improving the app's accessibility and for responding to the community's requests to make the app accessible. This is highly appreciated. And I'll start with the first question. Do you want them to be, should I ask them one by one and you answer, or what do you prefer?
Yeah, I think that would probably work great, one by one.
Perfect. So the first question is regarding the quality. As I understood from your introduction, the app mainly was for podcasters and people who maybe would like to create demos and audio guides, for example, or such. So is there, or are there settings to control the audio quality and to specify, for example, the sample rate, the microphones used, and such?
Currently within the app, no, but that is something that is on the list and has been, I guess, thought of to do. Definitely having multiple microphones or like choosing the microphone has been requested a few times. So I'm hoping to have those updates at some point. I guess eventually I would like to make it kind of have that more audio editing side to it as well. But realistically, that probably won't happen super soon, but I think that could be a cool addition to it, being a little bit more like an audio studio or podcast production studio style settings to it. But yeah, at the moment, that currently does not exist in the app.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Well, regarding the second question, it's about the channels. So is there a possibility right now to, for example, decide or to add certain topics to the channel? So if you want, for example, to create a topic about a certain discussion, then another topic for another discussion. So is this topic system present in the app, or are there plans, if it's not already there, are there plans to implement it?
Kind of. If I don't know if this is exactly what you're asking, but I guess the way the channels work now are, it's basically just a collection of the conversation. So you could create within the channel, you could create as many, I guess, top level conversations as you want, and those could be thought of as topics. But then within the conversation, you could just keep responding, or either responding within the timestamps or just responding at the end of each person's recording. But that top level conversation, I guess, it could be considered the topic. Is that kind of what you mean, or?
Can you give it, for example, a title? In the conversation, to have a title, and then people find the conversations based on the titles.
Yes, that is pretty much how it works now. So, if there was a title like Android updates, and that was a conversation, then that would always be the top level conversation, and then within that there could be a growing amount of responses over time. But there isn't currently like search features within the titles, so that might be something that needs to be added and make it easier to kind of navigate through them. I have heard some feedback with especially the like voiceover usage of it. When the conversations do get deeply nested, it gets harder to navigate. So that's something I'm kind of actively working on updating the layout with that, but it does kind of exist where you can categorize like that, but I think there's definitely room for improvement.
Okay, so now my last question, which is about the sustainability of the app. So what's the current plan? For example, is the app completely free, and how are you able to, or are you able actually, will you be able to be more precise, will you be able to keep it free? Because there are costs that you should cover, and this is something that people shouldn't just expect from the developer to deal with alone. So what about this thing? And if there is already a paid plan, what is actually this paid plan, and what's the difference between the free version and the paid version, if there's already one? I should be honest, I haven't tested the app yet, so maybe if I had, I should have already known the answer. But actually, this also should help also the listeners as well as knowing the plans for the future.
Yeah, definitely a great question. The app has a free plan and a paid plan. So the free plan is everything. All the basic features are available, so you can create as many channels as you want. There's no length limit on audio recording. You can invite as many people into a channel as you want. And yeah, there's no limit on recordings. The goal is, I guess, yeah, the goal is I don't want people to feel like they can't or have to be like conservative about their recording or sharing. So the app currently, like the free version, is optimized to have more people, or make it as easy as possible to record and share the app. Then on the paid plan, which is a subscription, which is $4.99 a month right now, or I think $39.99 for the year. That has a couple like premium features. Probably one of the bigger ones or more useful ones are you can upload audio, external audio, and download audio that you record. And also the speed controls is a premium feature. So if you want to listen at like 2 times speed or 1.5 times speed, that's a premium feature. And then there's a couple other ones, like you can add markers, like private pins almost, basically like bookmarks at timestamps. That one is a premium feature. And probably a couple more will be coming soon to the premium plan. Most likely the next big one will be like offline mode, or being able to like download stuff to listen without an internet connection. That doesn't currently exist. So yeah, the app it could be sustainable that way if enough people are doing the premium, and then they can, that could afford for the free plan to continue. I definitely want to always have a free plan, but I don't see it in the near future having to put limits on stuff for the free plan. So really what I would like to do is just make the paid plan have these more pro or more, these extra features that aren't necessary for just the core conversation part of it, but can enhance the experience. And that, I think, is how it could become a sustainable app over time.
Great, thank you.
Dave, you mentioned something earlier on that I probably thought maybe you should clarify. You talked about when we're talking about accessibility and all of that, and you had mentioned having to develop 2 versions, one for accessibility and one for sighted people. Are you by any chance saying there are 2 different versions? Like, for example, when I go to the Play Store, I should be looking for a different version for accessibility? Is that what you are trying to say? Or are you saying during the development session privately, while you're developing, you're trying to write one to make it accessible and then maybe merge them later on? Or what exactly did you mean?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. There's not 2 different versions of the app. I just mean it's basically 2 different ways of thinking about the user experience of the app, I guess. So it's not even 2 different code bases or built 2 different ways, but maybe like one quick example of which was an issue that came up not too long ago with the app is there was like there's like a main call to action on the channels, which is to record a new message. And on the visual version, the button is at the bottom of the screen, and it's very very like present and very like obviously there at the bottom. So if you're looking at the app, it's in a good spot. But for the voiceover to actually get to that button, you have to navigate down the entire screen and go down a whole list of all the past conversations. So it actually becomes like the least it becomes like a very low priority button at that point, when it is meant to be the main call to action button of that screen. So that is just an example of how like the two different I guess ways of usage need to be thought of while developing.
Got it. That makes sense. Now let's talk about availability, because sometimes some apps are geo-locked, maybe geo-fencing and all of that. Let's talk about availability, Dave. Is this available to anyone, or is it only available in certain regions? For example, is it only here in the States, in the UK, et cetera, et cetera? Is this something that's available to everyone that has access to the internet, or how is it?
Yeah, it's currently available to everyone, to all the countries or regions that are available in the Play Store, as well as in the App Store. So there's no geofencing or restrictions in that regard.
Thank you so much, because that's oftentimes the problem that we have with some apps, and you find people trying to extract APKs and all of that. And let's talk about privacy. I know this is kind of an issue that sometimes is either a make it or break it for some other people. How is the privacy of the app? For example, I'm corresponding with my wife, and I'm telling her I had to take the dog out to the vet or whatever. I don't want someone else hearing our conversation. How is that privacy?
Yeah, so the privacy is all based around the channels. So nothing actually currently is truly public on Roads, and there isn't really a way to have public to share publicly. That being said, a channel does have a share link, so whoever is the channel owner can invite people with a link, like a URL, and anyone with that URL can then join the channel, and anyone in the channel will have access to listen to all the conversations within that channel. So that is really how the privacy works. So anyone that's part of the channel will have full access to the channel and be able to upload as well as listen.
Well, that makes sense. And at least it will be me who is in control. I'm the one sharing the link. It's not like anyone could come in there and try to extract that link. So that totally makes sense. And so it's private. But if I choose to make it available to anyone, that's totally on me. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on here with us today. And as always, though, if people want to contact you, how could people get hold of you? I think, though, people could get hold of you via your Play page, that is on the Play Store page, or on the Apple page, if they want to get hold of you. Or is there another way outside of those that people can get hold of you?
Yes, through email is fine. Dave@rhodesaudio.com is available to email me, which should be linked on the website as well, or the Play Store probably. And yeah, that's a good way to contact me. Or I'm also on X. I don't know if that's easier, but it's just Dave Faliskie there. Yeah, those are probably the two best ways.
And what's your webpage address, Dave?
It's rhodesaudio.com.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for coming on to join us today. And I hope you come again, Dave. couple of weeks or so from here. I think that's going to be on the 25th. So you better come on. I'll come out to Virginia looking for you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'd love to be back. It was great.
Yeah, because we got listeners coming in, and there may be a question that we didn't ask you that someone else might want to ask. So if you're able to come on the 25th at the same time, I think that would be absolutely beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check my schedule, but I think I should be available.
Thank you so much, Dave. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week. And now we conclude today's episode with the App of the Week. And this week we're talking about that BookFusion TTS voice. And here's that demonstration of BookFusion voice. Hi, we continue now with our App of the Week series. And for episode 279 App of the Week, this is demonstrating BookFusion voice. BookFusion, BookFusion. BookFusion is a TTS engine, and the good thing about it, though, is that you can download the voices and you can use it for offline. So these are voices that are not being powered online. Rather, you download them to your device. Think of it like a cappella TTS engine. For today's demonstration, I'm utilizing my Galaxy S23 Plus, running One UI 8.0 and TalkBack 16.x. I am on the play page of BookFusion and will now navigate to the About, so we hear the description of the app, and then we'll come back and tap on that install.
About this app. Heading. BookFusion Voice Natural TTS. Details. Offline neural text-to-speech engine with 100 plus voices in 38 plus languages. BookFusion Voice is a neural text-to-speech engine that brings natural-sounding AI voices to your Android device. Once downloaded, voices work completely offline. Your text never leaves your device. Browse and download from over 100 voices across 38 plus languages, including English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, Czech, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, Arabic, Hebrew, Farsi, Hindi, Chinese, Vietnamese, Turkish, Greek, Romanian, and many more. Each voice is available in multiple quality tiers, low, medium, and high, so you can choose the right balance between naturalness and performance for your device. How to get started. 1. Open the app and browse the voice catalog. 2. Preview any voice with a native language test sentence. 3. Download the voices you like. If you use BookFusion, you're done. It detects installed voices automatically, no configuration needed. For other apps, go to Android settings greater than text-to-speech and select BookFusion Voice as your preferred engine. Features. Natural-sounding neural AI voices. 100% offline after download, no internet required for speech synthesis. 38 plus languages with multiple voices per language. Low, medium, and high quality tiers for each voice. Voice preview to test before choosing. Download size shown for every voice. Automatic performance testing after download. Slow voices are flagged so you know what works best on your device. Adjustable speech speed 0.5x to 2.0x. Works with any app that uses Android text-to-speech book readers, accessibility tools, talkback navigation, and more. BOOKF USIO and integration. Use BookFusion Voice together with the BookFusion ebook reader for the best read-aloud experience. When paired with BookFusion, voices are pre-buffered ahead of time for seamless, gap-free narration. No pauses between paragraphs or pages. Just download a voice here and start listening in BookFusion. Privacy. All speech synthesis happens locally on your device. Your text is never sent to any server. The app only connects to the internet to fetch the voice catalog and download voice files. Supported languages. Arabic, Bulgarian, Chinese, Croatian, Czech, Danish, Dutch, English, Estonian, Farsi, Finnish, French, Georgian, German, Greek, Hebrew, Hindi, Hungarian, Icelandic, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Kannada, Kazakh, Lithuanian, Luxembourgish, Marathi, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, Russian, Serbian, Slovak, Spanish, Swahili, Swedish, Telugu, Turkish, Ukrainian, Vietnamese, and more. App info. Version 1.1.3-030 for 8,489. Updated on March 4, 2026. Downloads 1,000 plus downloads. Download size 16.56 megabytes. Required OS Android 8.0 and up. Offered by BookFusion. Released on March 4th, 2026.
And that's both the description and the history of the app. As you can see, the app is barely 1 month old. I'll now go back though to that installation page and tap on the install, and we'll get started.
Play Store. About this app. Install button. Verified by Play Protect. Pending. Navigate up button. BookFusion Voice Natural TTS. 0%, 42%, 80%, 100%. Installing. Shortcut to BookFusion Voice added on home screen.
We're done with the installation, and I'll now tap on the Open.
Open button. BookFusion Voice. Close button.
Upon launching the app for the very first time, you're landed on the Close button there on the top right corner of the device. We are now basically in the Voices area. That's all that we have. But before we get to the Voices though, let's show you maybe a thing or two that we have near the top here besides that Close on the top right corner of the device. To the left of that Close button is the title of the app.
BookFusion Voice.
And directly below that BookFusion title, we encounter 2 tabs. I, however, would like to mention here in passing that while you're sitting on the Close button, if you're a swiper and you swipe, you'll be skipping over the language selection as well as the other drop down, which is the quality selection. So there are 2 drop downs below that title, BookFusion. So the first one is the language selection, and the one next to it, to the right of it, is the quality selection. So use Explore by Touch. Once you find that book title there on the top left, just move your finger slightly down, and below that you'll encounter the language selection. Here's what I'm talking about.
English. Edit box. Language. Drop down list.
Here you could tap to go choose a language. So if I tap here, for example,
Pop-up window. Arabic.
and I'm just going to go through a few and then we'll go back.
Bulgarian. Catalan. Czech. Welsh. Danish. German. Greek. English. Spanish. Persian. Finnish.
Well, you get an idea. So I'm going to go click on English, even though English is selected by default.
English. BookFusion Voice. English. Edit box. Language. Drop down list.
Now, to the right of that is another drop down for the quality. And now that this one is highlighted, if you're a swiper, you can safely swipe from here to the next drop down, and that will be the quality selection. So if I swipe right,
Low. Medium. Edit box. Quality. Drop down list.
and here if you tap,
Pop-up window. Low.
we got low, and below that,
Medium.
medium, and
High.
high. I do want to mention here, though, that by default, the voices that are shown, if we don't tap on the high, would be a mixture of the low and medium voices. However, if you want to add the high voices to the mix, then we tap here on high. Tapping on that high does not close that drop down or the pop-up like it did when we tapped on the language selection. Therefore, you would have to utilize your back button if you're using the traditional navigational buttons, and if you're using the gesture movement like I do, then simply do a back gesture, which I'm going to do right now to go back.
Low. Medium. High. Edit box. Quality. Drop down list.
And that closes that drop down or that menu, and now we're back on that drop down. Now below here are voices, and they start with the English UK. And I do want to mention here that when you get the word English, for example, below that on the left is the name of the voice, and then on the right edge of the phone is the download. The one thing that is missing here is that we don't have a preview where you could preview a voice prior to the download. So in order to be able to hear what the voice sounds like, you first have to tap on download, which is not very good. I'll show you what I'm talking about. However, after downloading the voice, then another button will appear, and thus we'll have like the voice. Then on the right edge, we got more, and then the play button. Tapping on that play will play that voice, as well as selecting it as the default. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about.
English, United Kingdom, low, 63 megabytes.
Tells you how big it is, and then below that on the left,
Alan.
we hear the word Alan. That's the name of that voice. And then to the right, on the right edge of the phone, directly across from Alan,
Download button.
is the download button. So if you want to download Alan, then you just download it. I'm going to scroll down at random.
English, United States, low, 63 megabytes.
We hear something here low and below that. And if you're a swiper, you can swipe. It'll move you to the right buttons from here.
Amy.
We got Amy, and then to the right of it,
Download button.
download. I'm going to download this just for giggles.
1%, progress bar. 29%, 68%, 98%, testing performance. More options, button.
Now you heard more options, and that's belonging to Amy. If I swipe here from here to go left,
Amy.
and if I swipe right,
More options, button.
more options. If you tap on that more options, it pops up a menu where you could delete that downloaded voice. So for example, if I tap here,
Pop-up window. Delete.
and that's all that we have. I'm going to go back.
Low, medium, high. BookFusion voice. More options, button.
And now to the right of that is the play button, which also selects Amy as my default voice when I go to enable or switch to the BookFusion from within the TTS engine. Now I'm going to move right and tap on play.
Play, button.
Hello, this is a test of the text-to-speech voice.
Play, button.
That plays that sample and also selects Amy as my default. Now let's go down and see if we find something different.
English, United States, medium, 64 megabytes.
Here's medium, and below that on the left, or if you swipe,
Kathleen.
we got Kathleen. That's another girl. Let's get some guys, shall
English, United States, high, 121 megabytes. Ryan.
we? Let's download
Download, button.
Ryan.
More options, button.
There we go. We now have the more options, and to the right of that,
Play, button.
play a button.
Play.
Hello,
button.
this is a test of the text-to-speech voice.
So now we heard what Brian or Ryan sounds like, and by default, it is selected. That's how you go about choosing voices. So first, you want to make sure that all the voices that you want are downloaded. And then, if you want to select a voice, for example, you tap on that play, and that selects that voice as your default TTS engine. I'll now navigate, though, to the text-to-speech area and choose BookFusion as my text-to-speech.
Talkback menu. Navigation.
And I'm going to tap on text-to-speech.
Text to speech. Low, medium, high. Text to speech. Preferred engine. Speech recognition and synth. Preferred engine. Navigate up. Button.
And let's go find BookFusion.
Not selected. Radio button. BookFusion voice.
Here's BookFusion.
Attention. This speech synthesis engine may be able to collect all the text that will be spoken, including personal data like passwords and credit card numbers. It comes from the BookFusion voice engine. Enable the use of this speech synthesis engine.
And I'm going to tap on OK.
OK. Button.
Using BookFusion voice. Preferred engine. Selected. Radio button. BookFusion voice.
And there we go. You hear Amy's voice instead of the last one that I chose, which was Ryan. And this is one of the bugs found within this TTS engine. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to go back.
Text to speech. Preferred engine. BookFusion voice.
And I'm going to swipe right to the text-to-speech engine settings.
Preferred engine BookFusion voice settings. BookFusion voice. Close. Button. English United States. Medium. 77 MB.
Okay, let's choose.
Bryce.
That's Bryce. Let's go to
Download. Button.
download.
1%. Progress bar. 55%. 96%. More options. Button.
All right, so let's see if I long press on Bryce's name, see if that makes it the default.
Bryce.
If I tap there, it doesn't play it and it doesn't select it either. I'm going to long press on it.
Bryce. Bryce. Bryce.
I
English
long
United
press
States.
and nothing
Medium.
happened.
64 MB. More options. Button.
And now I'm just going to tap on play.
Play. Button.
Play button.
So now we got Bryce. Now if I go home.
One UI home footpath. Little AI reader.
And that's how you go about choosing your voices. So first, download the app, open it up, choose the voices that you want, and then hit that download. And then you tap on that play, which plays the sample and selects it as the chosen voice. But every time, though, that you go to the TTS engine, it defaults to that woman's voice. Thanks for listening. And as always, if you like what we're doing, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, thanks for listening. And that's what that demonstration is. Karine or Sally, you have any comments about BookFusion? I know there's some issues in there, especially some of those that I touched on. Especially, I would love to see that capability of previewing a voice before one downloads it, not the other way around. Do you guys have any comments about that?
I personally not a fan. I'm not a fan of Piper, which is the model that they are using. They are using Piper voices. Actually, there are good voices from Piper, but the pronunciations are like pronunciation needs some work. So, for example, usually we have the issue with numbers. So sometimes if you try to read the number, like a number, you'd end up reading something that actually it can't be understandable. So it's I don't know if you have noticed this, and this is not an issue with the app itself. It's an issue with Piper as a TTS engine. So I guess that if they are able to, or at least if Piper itself is better with respect to pronunciation, if there are improvements to how certain things are pronounced, I think it has a potential. However, personally, I'm not using this app. For Piper. I'm using Sherpa for now because Sherpa is getting more frequent updates, and you are able to control the speech rate and volume and pitch. I'm not sure about the pitch actually. So, but what I'm sure about that, it's possible to let Sherpa use to let the screen reader control the speed, or to increase and decrease the speech rate, and you can also change the volume, increase it and decrease it. So I guess all of those aren't available in BookFusion for now. And Sherpa as well supports more models. It's not on the Play Store, so I know that people who are like Warren, who don't use apps that aren't on the Play Store, won't be using this app. But it's on F-Droids for anyone who would like to check it out. But anyway, I think that the app itself, BookFusion, is good. It needs improvements, of course. I guess we will have the developer. Maybe I'm not sure about the timing, but I think that we will have the developer so we can discuss some issues with him. But talking about the responsiveness, well, the app is considered good. At the end of the day, this is already the TTS engine needs some resources, so it's I think the phone itself, its specs, its capabilities has a place or has a say in the responsiveness of the app. So it should be, in theory, more responsive on high-end devices compared to mid-rangers, and of course compared to low-end devices. But the app itself, I mean, for reading articles, it's good. It works. For me, at least, as a screen reader user who likes apps or TTS engines to be more responsive, I think it has some latency, but I'm not sure if the developer is able to make it better. It's on par with the Sherpa already, so I don't think that there's a real difference between Sherpa and BookFusion. But I can say that they both are good. But for me, as to use it daily, aside from the issues regarding the pronunciation that I already mentioned, I guess if it's slightly more responsive, then this would be great.
Yeah, really, in reality, when we talk about TTS engines, it's really hard to find one that works the way that we really actually want it to. And when I say we, I'm talking about those of us who are blind and we want to use it as a daily driver. In other words, we want to be able to interact with our phone using that TTS engine. Yeah, most of the time, a lot of them are good for reading books. But when we talk about using it as a daily driver, basically doing everything on my phone with it, it's hard to find those that can really do what we want them to. But so far, though, I think that the responsiveness, like you indicated, isn't all that bad. So it's not too bad. I will put it above the likes of Sierra Play. Is a whole lot, 10 times better than Sierra Play or whatever that thing is called. So I'm glad to see that. Yeah.
Well, no, I have Sierra Play voice. I think it's not worse. I mean, it's good.
No, I think I find this one more responsive to Sierra Play, to be honest.
When did you test it? I mean, did you test it recently?
Today, today, and I'm not kidding.
Well,
so
I'll see. Because to be honest, I haven't used Sierra Play in a while, so I should give it another try and see. I already have home voice.
Yeah, do, and you'll see what I'm talking about. For something new, BookFusion doing a whole lot better than Sierra Play, and which supposedly coming from or have some blind people on there. I don't know that for sure, but it's been a complaint that we've been complaining for years, and no one has ever done. I mean, it's better than what it used to be, but it could be a whole lot better.
And something else which is related to this app, I mean, the intention of this app and the goal of creating this app is not actually screen readers at the first place. So it's a companion app for their application, which is a book reader. So this means that you are able to use the two apps together to let the TTS engine read books for you. So this is the thing. So in this case, and when we look at the app from this perspective, the app is already good in terms of responsiveness, because when you are reading a book, actually you don't need something that is very responsive. The responsiveness of this app is enough for reading books. So this is the point. So and this gives or this makes looking at Sierra Play and its issues something more urgent. I mean, it's a problem when you are talking about an app which is already built for blind people, or blind people are a part of this app. I mean, okay, it's not only for blind people, but I think its main focus is blind people. So if your main focus is blind people and you are unable to create something which is more responsive than this app, which is built already for reading books, not for screen readers, so there's a real problem. But to be honest, I should first test the app and see if on my device there's really this lack of responsiveness. I mean, it's worse than a cappella and vocalizer. That's of course what is it worse than BookFusion?
Yeah, it's worse than BookFusion. Yeah, but like you said, though, BookFusion. Of course, if you look on the Play Store, got a couple BookFusions, and so you want to look for the one that says natural voices, because it's from the same company. They got a couple of them, and one of them is the BookFusion e-reading book, like you indicated, Karian. And the whole idea is to be able to read your books with it. And we'll be talking about the other BookFusion, by the way, not very accessible. But anyway, so when we have them on here, I'm going to give them a bad time. But that's what we have for BookFusion TTS engine that doubles as a TTS engine. And so kudos to them for doing that. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. And with that, though, we come to the end of this week's episode. Again, guys, we want to thank you so much for joining us week in, week out. And as always, we have John here standing by to give you information on how you can get a hold of us. Here's John now to give you that information.
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Thank you so much, John, for that. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. From me, I want to wish you guys a great week. Have a great week, and keep them home fires burning as always.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening, guys. Goodbye. Enjoy the podcast.
Goodbye. Hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.